ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are in the 6th chapter, the Dhyana Yoga, in the last portion of this chapter, Dhyana Yoga. Until now, we had seen up to verse number 42, where in response to Arjuna's question that whether the person, if he slips from this path, which is very difficult indeed, this path of the sadhana of this yoga, so whether he will be destroyed, will be good for nothing, will he be lost on both, that is being the yoga and karma, that ahik and paramarthik, it can be sensed in that way also. So Bhagavan says, no, it is not like that. He says that partha naiveha namutra vinashas tasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. In this respect, I want to say something. Bhagavan says that whatever a little good one might have done, that he does not go to any durgati, he does not go any bad ways, that meaning that it will be ever protected, it will be always considered. And you might have heard these kinds of things on internet and social media. This Holy Mother Sarada Devi also said something in tune with that. So she said that if you do that 99 good and one wrong, a human being will only remember that wrong. But if you do 99 wrong and do only one good, God will remember that only one good. So nahi kalyan krut kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. So, even if you do little Kalyanakrut, good deed, that you will be saved, so to say. How is it? Because we people having spiritual inclination, we come to God, we pray, and we have some kind of spiritual samskaras, impressions. That's why these inclination and likings, that's why these subjects attracts us. Otherwise it would not attract every other person. Even if it would make sense, it would not attract. Unless you have that, it will not pull you towards it. Now this is very wonderful. Now suppose for a person in his lifetime, how much good deeds we do, so to say, spiritual things. How much? Compared to all other everything else, it would be less, little. But this only little is carried forward to your next life. Whereas rest of the other things, they are not carried forward in its entirety. Otherwise, this small percentage, this would never have any dominance. Never any person would ever attain spiritual illumination or emancipation, if this provision would not be there, that only your little good done, that will be protected and carried forward. If that provision wouldn't be there, we would never have any inclination towards spiritual seeking or spiritual pursuit. We would never have, because it is very insignificant part of our total endeavor of life. Because this is preserved, that's why in life, when we come across some subjects, we are attracted towards it. Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tat gacchati. Or Bhagavan says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. He said that. So that even a practice of this dharma, even a little, Swalpam api asya dharmasya anushilanam. So its practice, it will what? It will save from the great danger. Trayate mahato bhayat. So this is very interesting, that whatever little you do, you never lose it. You never lose it. In spiritual life, it is always preserved. So in that sense, he said, that is never lost. And that person who is thus yoga bhrashta, who could not attain to the culmination of the yoga, who could not reach the highest goal, he takes birth again after having lived in a very, in the worlds, in the such lokas which are earned by the punya krutam. After doing lot of virtues, the kind of places are to be attained. While living in such place, he is born again in the families of the wealthy, Shrimatam and Shuchinam, that the pure. These people are not only prosperous, but they are the good people. And so this is the one alternative. I said that if that person needs to further satisfy his any whatsoever desires, so he will be born thus. And other person, so he will have to pursue his spiritual path. He will born in such likewise environment. Athava yoginam eva kule. He will born in the clan, in the families of the yogis. And he will be intelligent. Bhavati dhimatam. So he will be born. And he said, Bhagavan says, etad hi, that these kinds of birth in this world, it is yadi drusham, this is durlabhataram, this is very rare indeed. Durlabhataram, it is very rare. So one is born in such families. And what happens then? Until now we have seen. Now what happens after that? Now these are up to this 43, 44, up to verse number 47. They are, Bhagwan is speaking in this sense. And it carries forward in the next chapter also, the same train of thoughts. So what Bhagwan is saying, what happens after that? Tatratam buddhi sanyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyah sansiddhau kurunandana. Then what happens after born in such families? That person, what he get? Paurvadehikam, from his last birth, he get that intelligence, that frame of mind. Buddhi sayogam means that his spiritual wealth, he gets it. So what does it mean? It means that what we see, that some things in this, now we can see that matters of spiritual life, sometimes they are so complex to understand. So even intelligent people fail to grasp it. But you will find even, so to say, illiterate person also, he will immediately able to catch it. Or even at the very early age, he will develop love of listening with it, such subjects with rapt attention. He can immediately correlate to these subjects. That correlation becomes very natural. This is buddhi savyogam paurvadehikam, that it is like given to him from his previous birth. It is forward handed over that buddhi savyogam. So he can immediately get into the groove of this subject's matter. He can understand those things. It immediately, he can correlate to it. And it inspire, he can connect to it. He can make sense of it. He can infer, conclude, and he is already planning to act upon it, bring those ideas into his life, act upon it. These things become very difficult. I face many times these questions कि महाराज बताइए क्या करना है. मैंने बोला तुम्हारे गुरु ने तो बोल ही दिया है, ठाकुर जी ने बोला है, स्वामी जी ने बोला है, माता जी ने बोला है, अभी तुमने दीक्षा लेकर भी इतने साल हो गए हैं, उसके बाद भी ये प्रश्न रह गया है कि महाराज बताइए क्या करना है. This question is not going. That why? That he is not able to see clearly his path of action, where to put his efforts, where to exert force, how to employ his faculties, उसका मन बुद्धि ये कहाँ पे लगाना है. He is dumbfounded, lost. After reading, it makes no sense. It does not inspire, does not motivate, does not channelize that person into something. That information does not translate into emotion. कुछ नहीं होता है. पढ़ा, मैंने ऐसे कई पंडित लोग देखे हैं कि ऐसा वेदांत पढ़ा है उन्होंने, ब्रह्म सूत्र उपनिषद से लेकर तर्क शास्त्र, बाकी भी मतलब षड दर्शन पढ़ा है, और भी कुछ व्याकरण वगैरह. इतना आप उनको एक लेक्चर देने के लिए बोलो, और मेनी टाइम दिस पीपल मीन्स दे हैड बीन अ गुड टीचर इन द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिलोसफी एंड ऑल दैट. ऐसा लेक्चर देंगे आपको कि मतलब आपको अद्भुत लगेगा. बाप रे, 2 घंटे का लेक्चर दिया, हाउ लूसिड एंड हाउ स्ट्रक्चर्ड एंड हाउ वेल मीन्स ऑर्गेनाइज एवरीथिंग. पर उस व्यक्ति के जीवन में कुछ नहीं है. वो व्यक्ति, इवन दैट पर्सन, ही नोज दैट, ही सिंसियरली एग्रीज, नॉट ओनली एग्रीज, ही लैमेंट्स दैट महाराज हम लोग को एक प्रवचन तो दे सकते हैं, हम विद्यार्थी पढ़ा तो सकते हैं, पर इसका जीवन में हमारे कुछ फायदा नहीं हुआ, हम इसका कुछ कर ही नहीं पाए, हमारा बस यही तक रह गया. बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है। श्री रामकृष्ण ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर को मिलने गए। अभी ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर आप जानते हैं कितने बड़े पंडित थे, सही अर्थ में पंडित थे वो व्यक्ति, इसलिए उनको उपाधि दी गई थी विद्यासागर। ठीक है क्या? नाउ so Sri Ramakrishna went to see him because he had heard Sri Ramakrishna was very fond of meeting such extraordinary people, and there were many stories of Vidyasagar about his compassion. So Sri Ramakrishna was moved by it. So Sri Ramakrishna went to see him at his house. So, but during the course of conversation, they are having dialogue, etc. So that chapter you will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, very interesting. Their conversation, both are witty, even Vidyasagar and Sri Ramakrishna. So cracking jokes upon one after another. But in that conversation, what Vidyasagar says, such a erudite person, means he wrote that book on the Sanskrit grammar. It is still used today. Now there comes the reference of Vedanta, and how Vidyasagar was, so to say, he was non-believer. He was self-proclaimed atheist, Nastik, Vidyasagar. And somehow, because that was also a fashion of that day, because whoever want to be good book in of the new Western masters, then you have to disown your own, your religion, civilization, values, then you are modern. And somehow at that time, these philosophies of Kant, Hegel, and Spinoza, and so this skepticism was around that day in the society. But anyhow, so, and that's why there were thoughts and that kind of discussion. So it was not unusual. At one point of time, Swami Vivekananda himself used to consider himself a non-believer. So it is not strange. So what does he say? When there comes the reference of Vedanta, he says Vedanta Gyan is Bhranta Gyan. Bhranta. So it means it's a false knowledge or misleading knowledge or confusion, that it has no substance. Bhranta Jnana. And Sri Ramakrishna says, what are you saying? So it is entirely possible. Vishwa Chandra Vidyasagar has Medha, Buddhi is there. He has good heart. His compassion is, he has good character. So everything is there, except that there is that small element is missing. He is not oriented. He is not able to click to it. It didn't click with him. That information didn't translate into emotion. He could not correlate to it. Sri Ramakrishna says, this is a very wonderful idea. And he said that 1 in 2 crore people, 1 in 2 crore people have the true faith. So only 1 person in 2 crore is Sri Ramakrishna's statistics. Even Swamiji used the same statistics when he spoke in the West, that 1 in 20 million. So that is the statistics they stick to, that a true faith is given to 1 in 2 crore. So what does it mean? That faith is something, now it is what faith they are referring to, Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. And many times here what the distance happens. There are ordinary etymology, ordinary word, vocabulary these people are using. We are also using, but they are trying to imply certain different thing with which we are not able to correlate to. They are using the word Vishwas. Vishwas. I am also saying, आपके भगवान में विश्वास है? हाँ, मेरा है. पर वो जिसको विश्वास बोलते हैं वो चीज एकदम अलग है. मैं जिसको विश्वास बोलता हूं वो एक ऑर्डिनरी चीज है. हाँ, भगवान में विश्वास है क्या? हाँ, विश्वास है. But when they define their Vishwas in various parables, various stories, in various ways, then we can understand the difference, what they are referring to that faith and what I understand as faith. There is a difference of an ocean. So that's how that we cannot correlate. So Sri Ramakrishna said that faith is like a tiger, that once somebody is possessed by it, that person he will devour, like that tiger will devour his prey. That Vishwas, that it will devour that person, that it will completely absorb, completely consume. He will lose into it. He cannot do any other thing. I do not have that kind of faith. We do not have. He is referring to that faith. How is it? I do not have that. So, tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. So these ideas, so knowledge is there, that knowledge does not translate into enough emotion. Somebody pointed out that, see, emotion, this word is wonderful. If you see, there is a motion, that word. And emotion means it will urge, it will provoke you into taking some action, that there has to happen some movement, motion. Then only it must urge you to do something. You have compassion, kindness, perhaps you have anger, jealousy, spite, something. So you will do something motivated by, if you have enough emotion. So these idea does not become workable, spiritual ideal. Sri Ramakrishna give one example of faith, that we do not believe enough. We do not have that faith. He says, if a thief comes to know that there is a mound of gold in the next room, will he able to sleep? Forget about it. He will be restless. He will be continuously plotting the ways and trying to gather every information, every data which is required to steal that gold. That Sri Ramakrishna says, how can one person be quiet enough if he comes to know that there is God, there is consciousness, that is your true nature, and you are supposed to realize it, you can realize it, and there is, how can you be restful? Because we are not people like him. We do not have enough faith. I am not person like him. That is our problem. So now, as much that between the difference between an stone and Sri Ramakrishna, and these varying degrees of belief and its motivation to make these things actionable or work these things out, between this huge margin, that we were somewhere, we are all in between these things. Sri Ramakrishna says that many come here. Many come here means for like his disciples, or for their spiritual counseling and help. And then he says, many come here, but I have not seen spiritual yearning, that earnestness, as I see in Naren. That is Vivekananda. He says that. Okay. And then he says, but it is still nothing as compared to what I had experienced in my days at Dakshineshwar. So, I do not go mad after God, because these things does not correlate to me. There is so much of that black suit or impurity covering my mind. One example I give it to you. One day Swami Turiyanandji Maharaj and one young brahmachari. So Turiyanandji Maharaj in his last days probably at Almora. So they went on a evening stroll, evening walk. Okay. And there was coming up one building. Okay. So this brahmachari, so to say, so very naturally he said some words of admiration about the building, that how nice building it is coming up. And Turiyanandji Maharaj immediately rebuked him, that what is there that you appreciate the building? So their minds were so high that he could not tolerate that his mind grabs something of the world. That your mind should be always on higher plane. That why do you notice even some building is coming up there? Can we make the sense of this? So, tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. So this is what God preserves and gives us. That's why people, many times this what I have heard. So initial days when you begin, especially with sadhus, begin their spiritual life, everything is going at breakneck speed. जब ध्यान सब दनादन चल रहा है एकदम, ठीक है कि नहीं? और फिर एक बार मतलब आता है कि फिर स्पीड कम हो जाता है. तो क्या हो रहा है? वही हो रहा है जो उसका था पहले से कमाया हुआ. Whatever he had earned earlier, it is like unfolds before him with very little effort. It is like just by asking, sign here, there, and it is yours, you can take it away. All right. But then you have to work it forward. You have to take it forward. And then it comes that you have to struggle a bit, and there comes then a steady pace. So, this is what happens. Tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. This sanskara is what this person acquire throughout his life. Whatever he spends, every small thought, every small deed, every sincere effort, every sincere prayer is going to be preserved. Nothing is going to lose. So never be afraid how big is the goal and how long it is going to take. Because it is going to take whatever it is going to take. There is no shortcut. So be prepared for that. Be committed. Unless if you are reserved, then you cannot do much. You must open up and give yourself. And then only. So there is Sri Ramakrishna. I give this many times. This is the hesitation. This our human beings' natural tendency of self-protection and self-preservation and self-saving. These become hindrance to the spiritual progress of most of the lay devotees. Because even intellectually they cannot accept this. So, this story you hear, in probably Mahabharata or in Bhagavata also it comes. The story of that Syammantak Mani. So that king, father of Sri Krishna's second best wife, what was her name? Rukmini, and I forgot her name. He was her father. Now what happened? He had one very beautiful gem. So he was very afraid, and it was very precious, very valuable. So he was worried about its his protection, his custody. So what to do? So, and he was very proud also about that God has given me such wealth, kind of thing. So with lot of humbug, what he did, he said to someone that God has given me these things. So what I am supposed to do? So he was devotee of Krishna and good person. So what he said, that you offer it to Krishna, and what else you can do? He thought, it immediately pinched him. That idea. He didn't mean that you give it to Krishna. That is not was his meaning. Offer it to Krishna means as we offer everything to God and partake it as his prasad. Even that idea he could not tolerate. And he says, what? So even earlier he had this king, that Krishna is not an ordinary person, he is the incarnation of God. But as soon as he says that, his ego is completely obliterates that idea, and he says, what? I am not going to give this thing, that thing. And what happens? That gem is then gets stolen. And he becomes furious and he condemns Krishna. You must be the person that who has stolen that gem and all that. And because you all the time you had eye upon it, and like that. So he's saying so many things, and he said, calm down, I will search for it, etc., etc. And then the story goes that he finds it. Then Jamwan had taken it because he wanted that his daughter Jamwati, whom she will marry, and he knew that Bhagwan is there, and so he marries his 8th wife Jamwati. So, and then afterward this king also gives his daughter in marriage to Bhagwan. So etc. that story. Now this is the condition that he says that आप कृष्ण अर्पण कर दीजिए. तो बोले, हाँ मैं नहीं दूंगा कृष्ण को. So this is story of every one of us. कोई तुमसे कुछ छीन नहीं रहा है. अभी मैं किसी भी व्यक्ति को बोलने जाऊं आध्यात्मिक जीवन के बारे में, तो मैं जब उसको ऐसा कहना जाता हूं कि देखो, आध्यात्मिक जीवन का अर्थ ये नहीं है कि तुमको मतलब लंगोट पहन के किसी जंगल में गुफा में चले जाना है. बोले हाँ आप तो संसार में रह के करना है. मैंने बोला उसका तात्पर्य ये नहीं है. तुम जो कह रहे हो ना, सारे संसार की बू आ रही तुम्हारे मुंह से, तुम्हारे शब्दों से. ये तुम्हारी आसक्ति बोल रही है. जो तुम ये बोल रहे हो ना, संसार में रह के करना है, ये तुम्हारी आसक्ति बोल रही है. ये शब्द किसके लिए है पता है? कि संसार में रह के करना है. जब राम आध्यात्मिक विद्या ब्रह्म विद्या पढ़ने के बाद वो सब राजपाट त्याग करके वनवास जाना चाहते थे. ये कई वाला वनवास नहीं, वो इसी विद्या में मतलब इसकी उपासना के लिए ये सब कुछ त्याग, गृह त्याग करना चाहते थे. तब दशरथ और सब रानियां सब परेशान हो गए. तब उन्होंने वशिष्ठ जी को बुलाया. वशिष्ठ जी ने उनको समझाया कि राम तुम तो इस संवाद को योग वासिष्ठ कहते हैं कि राम और वशिष्ठ जी का संवाद आज भी प्रसिद्ध ग्रंथ है वेदांत पे. तो तब राम तो वशिष्ठ जी उसको परस्यू करते हैं राम को, श्री राम को, कि तुमको छोड़ के नहीं जाना है। उस व्यक्ति के लिए है कि तुमको संसार नहीं छोड़ के जाना है, संसार में रहकर राम के लिए कहा है। जब शिवाजी महाराज तुकाराम जी को मिले तब उनको इनका मन इतना उच्च अवस्था में चला गया कि उन्हें लगा कि मैं ये राजपाट और बाकी सब कुछ नहीं करना चाहता। ये श्रेष्ठ धर्म है, ईश्वर प्राप्ति छोड़कर हम ये कहा। तब तुकाराम महाराज बोल रहे शिवाजी महाराज को कि नहीं, तुमको राजधर्म का पालन करना है, तुमको ये काम करना है। उसके लिए कहा गया है कि संसार में रहो। हमसे संसार की आसक्ति छूटती ही नहीं और बोल रहे हम लोग कि संसार में रह के करना है। अरे तुम बुद्धि से तो स्वीकार करो, छोड़ने की बात तो बहुत दूर रह गई। ये कालिक जब तक है तब तक वो व्यक्ति धारणा नहीं कर सकता, ये स्पष्ट है। आपका दो चीज है, मैं सब समय बोलता हूं। एक है कि थ्योरी, ये थ्योरी जो है, थ्योरी समझने के समय ये है जैसे प्योर साइंस। ये समझने के समय आप अपना दिमाग, अपना स्वार्थ ये पूरा भूल जाइए। ये इसमें आप नहीं है। आपको जो जैसा वक्ता ने, गुरु ने आपको जैसा समझाने की कोशिश की है, जो जैसा वो चाहते कि आपको समझना है, आप ठीक वैसा ही समझिए। आप चिंता मत कीजिए। अभी कुछ आपका कोई भी विवरण यहाँ पे, आपकी कोई भी चिंता आपको यहाँ पे नहीं, भाई मुझे तो ये करना है, वो करना है, ऐसा है वैसा है, ये चिंता नहीं करनी है। आप ठीक से समझ लीजिए पहले। इसमें आप खुद को लाएंगे तो फिर गड़बड़ा जाएगा। So this theory has to be understood as it is, without any personal subjective concern. Because as soon as you bring this, you distort this, you disfigure it, you will. So your subjective lens you should not bring in, as long as there is theoretical question of theoretical understanding. You are going to have full freedom, absolute control over what to do. When this has to be applied to the life, then you have absolute control. That decision you only have to take. Nobody is going to dictate. There is no book in Indian spiritual religious tradition which directs you to comply to any rule. There are only suggestions that you must do this, otherwise this or that. There is no such vidhi, there is no such nishedh, there is nothing. You can follow it, you may not follow it. There are suggestions, that's it. They are called as smrutis. As long as you are understanding principle, do not bring your subjectivity. When those principles are to be applied and are to be realized, and then comes your subjectivity, who you are, what you are, where you are, in what context of time, place or cause, and then you decide what is your dharma. So the responsibility of your dharma to decide and to follow is totally upon yours. Our shastras, they only rule about the principle. Rest you can believe. There are 21 smritis. You can take one, it will be contrary to another. They are subject to change. They say that. All right. So this is necessary. So, but as long as this fear does not go, this surrender does not come, this aspiration does not come, that so long as this truth cannot reflect in our heart, we cannot imbibe, we cannot understand in its true spirit. So it is not like that if somebody wishes and he can do just that. It is still further. But for someone, he must come to the understanding. And it is not like that. There are so many stories of householder devotees who had been exceptional in their achievements, in their spiritual achievements, that their lives, their character, their experiences, that they will put to shame that any person who has taken the vow of complete renunciation, that is kind of their life. So it is about the attitude, it is about this understanding. So, and this is how that faith, it comes from that clearer understanding, and how clearly understands it, how truly he believes into it, and then that's why he can commit to it. And that's how he gathers those impressions. That's how this correlation becomes possible. These things are interconnected, and that's why we see difference between people to people. So this is what happens then, that tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. So I gave my example that last time. So of course, example means I know myself. There are means like hundreds and thousands in our tradition of our religion. I become monk at the age of 20, and before deciding that to becoming a monk, becoming at the age of 20 or 21, so my association and my exposure to this literature of Ramakrishna Vivekananda, or it was just 1 year. Now how we explain that reading for a few books that one decides to become a monk? How is it? So this is what it is. Tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. So carried forward from the previous life, he immediately understands. He can immediately correlate, and it becomes immediately actionable for that person. The book I read, millions of people are reading, isn't it? It does not motivate every one of them equally. It does not become actionable for them equally. So this is how what we can infer from here, that drop the fear. Aspire what is great. Everything is going to be left back. What is going to be carried forward? What is going to be preserved? Focus, give attention. Whatever in this life, however God has disposed us with the sanskaras, with the challenges, with the life, family, world, everything. Considering that, whatever possible, let's do the right thing. Let's invest in the right thing. So this is going to be our anchor. This is going to be our peace island. This is going to be our wealth upon which we are going to bank upon. This is going to be the substance which is going to remain, not going to erode with time. Everything will disappear, change, disfigure. Our relations, the respect other people give to us, our power, our wealth, everything erodes. It is true. How people become helpless with time. And so if you bank upon, there is a quotation from Bible. So it is used that Jesus Christ says that do not make your home on the sand. Do not build your home on the sand. That build your home on the rock. And referring to that, then Jesus said, especially that Peter is that rock, etc. So do not build your home on the sand. That you are living in a home which is erected upon a sand, sand is going to fleece away. It is going to disperse. So this is whatever is transmigratory, evanescent, which is subject to change. This is that sand. Do not depend upon it. It is going to be lost sooner than later. So it will be only regret, lament, and emptiness. So do not bank upon that. Bank upon something which is not subject to change, which is permanent, which is substance, which is solid something. And then you can deal with this. Everything which is fleeting, transmigratory, like it is nothing. Then its wealth, its name and fame, its power, then it will not intoxicate you. Then you will be able to deal with these things as if that is nothing. That it will not affect you. Sri Ramakrishna is to say that it doesn't matter that boat is in the water, it is meant for that. Problem is only then water is in the boat. You can be in the world, there is no problem. Let that world do not creep it into you. So this is the idea. So labhate tatratam buddhi sayogam labhate paurvadehikam. Sri Ramakrishna gives one example of he tells a story that Narada was traveling and he saw that one tapasvi, one rishi, one ascetic, he is doing tapasya, very kathor tapasya, that asceticism. And under a tree, and he for the vision of the God, and he asked Narada that Maharshi, that you are traveling everywhere and you are Trikaldarshi, you are also beloved of Narayana. Please tell me how long I have to wait for his vision. And then Narada says that wait, let me see that how long it will take that before Narayana appears before you. And he says that, O Rishi, that you will have to be born 3 times again. That much tapasya you will have to do. You will have to spend 3 more births before you have the vision of the God. And he becomes very disappointed and dejected that so much he is doing, that to the every last breath, every last drop of his blood, every last unit of his energy, he has thrown himself. Still that he has to wait 3 months, 3 lives. So he was unconsolable. So somehow Narad, consoling, giving him some words of consolation, escapes from there. Okay. And then he comes across then another rishi. He was also doing terrible austerities. And with his ghastly eyes totally sunken into his eye orbits, that totally emaciated, that only skin and bones, that rishi, that ascetic, asked Narada that Maharshi Narad, when can I have the vision of the God? Please tell me how long it is going to take. And Narada says with a very long disappointment that, see, it seems you will have to take many births before you can have the vision of the God. And he was sitting under a tree, and like a compound leaf, he picks one leaf and he says, so as many leaflets are there in this leaf, that many birth you will have to take before you can have the vision of the God. And what is the reaction of the ascetic? He stands up from his seat, makes pranam to the Maharshi, and start dancing, weeping with joy, that he will ultimately, after so many births, after again a dozen of births probably, he will have finally the vision of God. There is no doubt that he is nearer, that he is going the right way. There is no question about what he is doing. So he is extremely overjoyed. And again and again, thanking God for his profound mercy and all that. So what happens? So it seems that Bhagavan had decided to give them vision. Give them vision, both of them. And he had sent Narada. And accordingly, he had instructed what to say. So to the first ascetic, God didn't give vision. But the second ascetic, as soon as he responds like this, Bhagavan appears before him in his full form and glory, and he says to him that I am pleased with the mind frame you have developed, with the attitude you have developed, that you have never lost of faith, that it means nothing to you, that he had not developed any ego of so terrible asceticism he has done. He counted as if it is nothing. He was only focused upon the God, upon his vision. So he says, Bhagavan says that I am extremely pleased. And though Narada had said, indeed you might have to wait, it could have been that you might have had to wait until then. But with this, digesting this terrible news as if it is nothing, I will consider them as if you have consumed them, all your dozen births. And Bhagavan appears before him. So, so that attitude is necessary in spiritual life. That if we are to progress, one must be that focused, that we should be ready to give whatever it takes and whatever it demands. And then only the spiritual life is going to reveal its secret before you. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell another story that there were two friends, two women, and one friend goes to the house of another, and she is doing something, some work, unlike that crochet or that kind of work they do on cloth with silk and all that kind of thing. So there are many those silk thread bundles lying around. Okay. So this one friend, the visitor woman, she develops an attraction for one of the thing, and she grabs it, steals it, that one of the bundle of that silk thread. So when her friend is not there, and she notices that her friend is at the same moment she is coming out there. So what she does, she hides it, that silk bundle, under her armpit. So, but her friend is equally cunning. So she notices that she has taken one bundle from there. So what she does, So among things, she says, so when you have come, so you have come after a long time, let us dance together. So, and with some songs, they are dancing. But this visitor woman, because she is hiding that silk bundle under her arm, so she very carefully means acting as if she is holding that hand and her clothes like that, and only one hand moving in the dance. And her friend is saying, "Why don't you dance freely, moving your both hands?" And her friend, the visitor friend, is saying, "No, our side people dance like this only." So Sri Ramakrishna is saying that if we are like that woman, we try to preserve our interest, then this truth will not open before us. He gives many examples. Here there is one example that was a wonderful story. So I will tell that because it is again related to Mathura and Gokul. So river is across. So one gopi used to come from across the river into Mathura to sell her milk products. And there is to be one a place where one Babaji, one Panditji, used to tell the Bhagavata. Bhagavad Nirupan he used to do. And she that woman, after selling her these things, whenever she is to find, she is to listen to that Bhagavata. Now, Panditji is saying that Krishna is your oarsman, your boatman. He will carry you forward, carry you from this ocean of samsara, that samsara sagar, that he will do your this uddhara. So he will take you across this ocean. Now she is an illiterate woman. She didn't much understand that ocean of samsara means this world and its complexities, etc., etc. So what she thought? So one day there was this Yamuna during this rain, due to heavy rains. It was flowing to the brink. It was flooded. And Panditji was surprised to see her here in Mathura. As usual, after selling her milk products and listening to Bhagavad, she said, "Gopi, how did you come? Because Yamuna is totally flooded." He said, "Why are you embracing me, Panditji? You only told me the solution. Because you said that taking Krishna's name, you can go across the ocean. So this is a river only. What is river before ocean? This is nothing." He said, the Panditji says, "You are ridiculous. So Krishna will take you across the ocean of samsara, that is one thing. How did you come across the Yamuna?" He said, "Like that only." He said, "Don't talk nonsense." She said, "Yes, I am speaking the truth. I can show you if you really want." He said, "Okay, let us go." And she said, "Okay, come then." She takes her pots, etc., on her head and start walking. So as they go near them is a river, Pandit is standing back, and she is, after some time when she cannot hear the noise of his feet, he said, "Panditji, come, don't worry." And she simply goes into the river. Okay. And she's going and going and going. So Panditji, he said, she said, "Wait, how are you doing that?" He said, "Just take Krishna's name and just walk." That's it. You will go across. There is no problem. So she said that, are you speaking true? That is the only thing you are doing? There's nothing else? She said, yes, yes, you can try. You also can try. Come. And then Panditji, he dips his 1 feet. He said he's going down the water. He pulls up his dhoti little bit. Taking again means with fear Krishna's name, taking. So then the Gopi says that Panditji, taking Krishna's name and pulling up your dhoti will not do. आप भगवान का नाम भी ले रहे हैं, धोती भी बचा रहे हैं, इसका मतलब विश्वास नहीं है. That you do not believe. That will not work. So this is our interest of the world is just about that dhoti. That much. Here his feet is going down. That is nothing. So here lies before him, there is an example in person. But he do not have the true faith. So this is the thing, to progress in spiritual life, to progress in this path. We cannot have one hand tied, hiding that petty bundle of the silk thread and dance. Sri Ramakrishna give many times this kind of example of Draupadi. When she leaving her both hands, she prayed to Vasudeva Krishna. Then only Krishna saved her. Many kinds of examples he gave. That this surrender, this dependence, this acceptance, wholehearted, it does not come. That's why we cannot understand these things. That's why these things does not make sense, that appeal, its implications, and it does not translate into action. And without doing them, we cannot understand much. So it has to become actionable. So here we will take the break, and taking this verse forward, we will see what Bhagavan has to say afterward. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.